You made it back. Hopefully at this point you've already responded to our Jamboard. And now we are going to talk about middle school schedules. So again, just to reiterate or to say again, I am making this video before I see what you post. So I am going to come back and address the things if I miss them. Don't think that just because I didn't talk about your answer here, it's not going to get an answer. So that being said, we had two sets of schedules on these slides about what does the middle school schedule look like? What do you notice? So let's talk, here's some things you might have noticed. One, school starts at 7:30. When you come to the school before 7:30, there's a place for you to be. Specifically at Horning, I can tell you that you come in through door 2, the bus drops you off there, parents drop you off there. That's our cafeteria. And then you are in that space until 7:30. Well, until 7:25. Okay. You should be in your first class at 7:30. That is when our school starts. I know that's earlier than elementary school, so we're having to wake up a little earlier, get up a little earlier. But with that, it also means we end a little earlier. So your school day ends at 2:36. That is when the last bell would ring, and then you usually have about 5 to 7 minutes to catch your bus or to leave the school, make it to your next after-school club, whatever it is. Another thing you might have noticed is that there are 7 hours, like periods or classes in a day, and then lunch and advisory. So before I touch on advisory, there are 7 hours, which means if you think about it, you have 2 classes of literacy. You have a social studies class, a science class, and a math class, and then you have what are called elective classes. So one of those, or at least half of one of those, has to be gym, and then we'll talk about the rest of them in 1 second. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So every school has some sort of an advisory, a SOAR, a cardinal day, something like that, where basically what an advisory is, it's one person. It could be a teacher, it could be someone who works in the school building, it's an adult of some kind, with a smaller group of students where you work on different things to help you transition to middle school, make sure that you're academically, social, emotionally, and just in general prepared to deal with things that come up in middle school as well as later on in life. It's a chance for you to have a small, close relationship with someone. They're like your go-to person. I personally, so Mrs. Beatles bias, I love advisory. It is one of my favorite hours. Everybody gets a nice small group and we really just get to talk and be real with each other. So that is advisory. And then there's at least one day in every schedule that has some sort of different times. A lot of that is because of advisory or because of different kinds of things that we're doing, like career planning. At Butler and Horning, those are on Wednesdays. At STEM, Monday and Fridays are different. And at Les Paul, they are cardinal days. So that being said, there's one different day with different times. It could be every week. It could be every month. It is listed there for you. The next big thing is a 3 to 4 minute passing time. We are actually going to touch more on this on Wednesday with our passing time lab, but we have about 3 to 4 minutes between classes. There are different times for lunch. So lunch is about 30 minutes from the time that the last bell rings to the next bell starts. You have about 30 minutes to eat. The lunch times are spread out throughout the day. The reason this is, I'll go to a schedule so you can actually see it. It's because there are so many people in the building, so people have to eat at different times. You can see that at Les Paul, it's by grade. So all the 6th graders are together, then all the 7th, then all the 8th. At Butler and Horning, they are just spread out. So lunches are considered different hours, either first lunch, second lunch, third lunch, lunch 4A, lunch 4C, and lunch 5B. There are different orders, but essentially you will be getting a lunch. It may be with people in your grade. It may be people who are not in your grade. You will never be the only person in your grade in lunch. So don't worry about that. But yeah, you might be eating lunch with people who are different grades, different classes. It is a great way to meet up with people who you might not see during your school day. Because of these different lunches, some of the class periods have different hour names. So like 4A and 4B and 4C, or 4A, 5A, 5B, 5. That's just to help get your schedule in line. You will never have a class that is a 4A and a 4 or a 4AB and a 4BC. You will have one or the other. And most of your teachers will probably just say 4th hour, 5th hour, and 6th hour. And then last but not least, something else you could have noticed is that classes are about 50 minutes long. Within that time, you might find that your teacher divides it up differently. So it might be a bunch of little things. It might be one long thing. Literacy is 2 class periods long. So that would be an hour and 40 minutes, all smushed together usually. Sometimes they're spread apart, but yeah. So that is some things that you might have noticed. Again, I'll go back to that Jamboard and make sure that I got everything. And if I didn't, I will make another video answering your questions. So let's talk about those core classes and elective classes. So when I say core, I'm talking about literacy, math, science, and social studies. Those are the same for everybody. Elective classes, those last 2 hours, because remember literacy's 2, those last 2 hours are usually choice classes. So you have things like band, music, orchestra, choir, French, Spanish, tech ed, art, foods, cooking, business, computers, AVID, gym, study hall, etc., etc., etc. That was a lot. So you do have to have gym. And I can talk specifically at Horning, you kind of rotate through these electives. I think that's something that everybody in all the middle schools does. You got to kind of rotate through some different electives to try it out. So the biggest thing with middle school is trying out different things. So you're going to get a bunch of different classes that you get to try in 6th grade. And then in 7th grade and 8th grade, you start picking like, yeah, okay, I think I want to take that one. I really liked this. I want to do that again. I've never tried that. I should try that. And then there's also times called intervention times. So if you've never heard of an intervention, they're there to help you build your skills in another class. They're really small groups, and they are usually really focused and on kind of their own schedule. So those are core classes and elective classes. I know, I'm just flying right through these. So another thing that wasn't on those schedules but is important to know is that you will have an A day and a B day schedule. So A day, B days are classes that alternate which day. So you might have gym on A days and music on B days. So it'll be every A day you go to gym, every B day you go to, what did I say, music? Okay. And those will be the same hour. So it might say 4 on A days, you're going to gym, and 4 on B days, you are going to music. So the way it works, it just alternates. It's a way for you to get more classes to different electives, and they just bounce back and forth. So if I have a week that I start on Monday with an A day, it'll go A day, B day, A day, B day, A day, end on an A day, and the next week I'll start with a B day, A day, B day, A day, B day. Your teachers will have signs posted. We have things in our doors at Horning. There's signs on the walls. There's signs with different teachers. There's a schedule that you can actually have printed. It is all there for you. Do not worry. So those are our schedules. That was a lot. Take a breather. That was a lot of information. Hopefully that answered some of your questions. And then the last thing is just getting you into your schedules. So on our Blackboard site, I have this slideshow. So I am in our class. I am in course content if you're on the iPad. And then I am on schedules. And it says accessing your schedule. So in here, there are some quick slides to tell you how to access it. So first things first, things can still change. It's still early. We still don't entirely know how things are going to look. So that being said, it could still change. If you're placed in something incorrectly, please let your guidance counselor at your school know. Those changes will be made. Changes aren't going to be made because you want a different lunch, or you want a different teacher, or you want to be in a class with your friends, or you want an entirely new elective. Those things aren't changing. So here's how you do it. You go into Infinite Campus, you sign in, and then on the little sidebar, there's a bunch of different things. You're looking for future schedules, 1920, this should say 2021. So future schedules on the side there. And then it will pull up something that looks kind of crazy like this. Again, this says 1920, it should be 2021. It has them all listed in there. It'll usually tell you have more than one lunch. It's going to tell you which classes you have which semesters. And then it will also tell you what teachers you have. So you may have like first hour will stay the same all year, but then if you have an elective second hour, it'll say elective It'll say second hour, first semester, or first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, or first semester, second semester. So it may show up more than once. The biggest thing to look at is going to be looking at the periods, and right here they have Qs for quarters. So that's when it will switch. Your teachers' names are off to the side, kind of cut off in this little picture. And then please know that your locks and lockers are going to be assigned in August. So that is something that will come later, but it'll be still in your schedule spot. You can also get your schedule to look kind of like this in a nice comfy layout, which is great. Make sure that you have all of your classes. Make sure that there's a literacy, a science, a social studies, and a math class in there. And then you can always email your guidance counselor for questions. I'm sorry I can't walk you through it, but I actually don't have access to your new schedules. That's not something I can see, and my Infinite Campus looks so crazy different from yours. So if you have questions, let me know. I hope that answered some of your questions. I'm excited for you to start seeing who your teachers are and what classes you have. And we might start comparing back and forth to see if anybody is in your classes with you.